if I wanted to get a referral, how would I get it? The fastest way to get a referral, other than an event, but the fastest way is to meet with the most influential, successful person you know and help them achieve a goal, conquer a challenge, or get a dream, right? Realize their dream. It help the most powerful person you know, and they will reciprocate in a way you've never dreamed possible.
Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome, everybody, to another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast. I am so excited to bring you today's very interesting and very much a twist on the typical Referrals Podcast episode. Today, we flip the script. Today, I am going to be interviewed, and not just by anyone. I am being interviewed by one of my coaching clients and one of the top mortgage professionals in the world, over 1,000 transactions a year in the Texas area. And I have to tell you that there is a ton of pride associated in this interview in the fact that Wally Elibiary from the Texas area, he had been a coaching client and honestly a friend for a long time. And I've seen his growth to the point where he built a huge referral-based business in the mortgage world. And he wanted to write a book, and he wanted to write a book, and he wanted to write a book. And you know, a lot of people who want to write books don't write books, but he put it together and he came up with the book, The 24/7 Mindset. It's phenomenal. You've got to check it out. And here's the other thing. So he started the 24/7 Mindset podcast. And so this is an excerpt from that podcast. And the beautiful thing that you're going to get from this, in this flipping of the script, is that he knows the referral mastery system and 7L about as well as anyone. So his questions are extremely perceptive. And my answers include some of the nuances that maybe you hadn't heard before. It's probably the most, has the most breadth, right? Extension of any interview that I've ever done. We cover a lot of ground at a very high level. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. And this is, like I said, a proud moment. I don't know if we can say it's like the student interviewing the teacher. In many cases, the student surpasses the teacher. And I would put Wally in that department. So this is going to be a very informative and interesting, maybe somewhat entertaining interview. And I hope you like it and enjoy. Here it is.
Let's rewind 10 years ago. I'm going through a mortgage conference and I see this guy speak on stage. He's almost running the show. So sales mastery. And I see this Michael Maher guy, Mr. Personality, Mr. Attraction of this positive energy. And I see him in the, I think it was front lobby of the hotel there in Palm Springs. I'm like a groupie, just go to him and I get to take a picture with him, a selfie with him. So that's who I'm going to introduce today. So everybody, this is the Michael Maher.
Wow, what an intro! I should give a shout out to Bill Hart. He's the one that connected me with Todd Duncan in the first place. So, it's so great to be here and so great to see your success with 24/7 Mindset, the book, the academy, everything that you're doing. You are just rocking and rolling, and long time coming, man. I feel part of me is saying congratulations. The other part saying, finally, dude. Right. The world is finding out your genius, like I always knew you had. So it's pretty cool.
I appreciate it. It's funny. It's funny what happens in life when you simply get out of your own way. It's funny what happens in life when you stop listening to the self-doubt that you are the only one saying about yourself. And there's a great quote that I read a while back that really just moved me and it really shaped me. And it said, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. And it was always like the perception of someone else. Well, if I do this, such and such will think I'm stupid, or
Yeah.
if I do this, such and such will think I'm a phony. And you realize really quickly, like you're putting your thoughts in others, and it was just so much self doubt. But you've always been a beacon of encouragement, Michael. And I remember it was 2016. I called you, and I was actually got fired by one of my realtors, and I was like, do I ever fight for it? Do I not? And he was a huge lead generation realtor, and I was driving to Austin and back on a weekly basis, being away from my family. And I remember calling you, and you were like in the Bahamas or something, like some sort of the Caribbean, and you picked up, and I told you this story, and you were like, you made the right decision. Focus on adding value to your clients, focus on your database, focus on relationships, and you've always been there for me. So thank you so much for your friendship over the years.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and I tell people all the time, you were one of my favorite coaching clients of all time. And that's the truth. Why? You're a master implementer. And I mean, you're already a huge success. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just like, they just started coaching with them this year, and they're claiming that, man, you know what? They went from 133 million to 140 million. And, I'm glad to have them as coaching clients and this kind of thing. And it's like, well, that's okay. But they were doing 133 million before they found you. So, that's good stuff. So I'm not going to take any claim for your success, because you earned it and you got it all. But the thing that you was coachable. Like that's
Yeah.
and how, what coachability is, it's humility. And that's what a learner and a grower is all the time is they never know it all. They're always looking to learn more, learn better. And they're the ones that succeed in the end. And it's the ones that know it all are soon, pretty much irrelevant. So
Yeah.
I love our relationship. I love what I've learned through you, and I've learned that our conversations are always high-minded and positive, and always looking to better serve the world. So,
Well, but I've learned you're a copycat, though.
oh yeah,
So you're a copycat from the fact of that I go rupture my Achilles, and you
yeah.
just think I'm having so much fun. You want to rupture your Achilles also. What happened?
Yeah, that's a copycat activity. I wish I had not implemented. It's like, God, look at how much sympathy he's getting. I want all that. I mean, look at all those people. I should probably go do something. No, I'm telling you, that's the Achilles club is not the club anybody wants to be
No.
in, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst nightmare. I'm in
Yeah.
month 3 of physical therapy, post-surgery physical therapy. And I'm just telling you, I went this morning, and I didn't want to go. I ended up 15 minutes late because I really didn't want to go. Like maybe they'll cancel me if I get there 15 minutes late. They'll just go, we can't work you in, right? And then it's like I get there and they work me in, and then it's supposed to go an hour. I've never gone an hour. It's always been an hour 15, hour and a half. And this guy just like, he's a tough coach. I'll just put it that way. And I came away Tuesday super sore, and today's Thursday, and
Yeah.
it was brutal this morning. And it's one of
I've
those where icing is a thing.
You realize like the mental strength that like I thought I was mentally strong. And I will tell you, when I ruptured it in October, then re-ruptured again in December. December was a super dark month for me. And it wasn't like thoughts of suicide or anything like that, but it was 110% barely wanting to get out of bed. And like when you go all the way from like you have surgery in early October, then you have 6 weeks in a scooter, and then 6 weeks in crutches, and 6 weeks in a boot. Then you start physical therapy, and the second day after physical therapy starts, you re-rupture it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got dark. And to me, it was just like, how do I fell in love with Kobe Bryant, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I just really went like all in, and like watching him rebound back. But no, when I heard yours, I saw on the social, and I sent you that message. But how did you actually rupture? Do you remember?
Playing baseball. Yeah, I was playing in a tournament in Cooperstown. It was an 18+ tournament. I'm 54 years old, so it's like, what the hell? I'm 3 times older than some of these guys. So what's interesting is the day before, I hit the second farthest home run of the year, and I hit one out of Royals training facility in Surprise, Arizona in November. And then this was August 1st, basically. Actually, it was July 31st. And July 31st, I hit a bomb. And then the very next day, we're playing at Doubleday Park in Cooperstown. It's like it's awesome to play there. And we probably had 100 people in the stands. And I got a single. I was 8 for 13 for the tournament with 3 doubles and a home run. And just like I was on fire. And I was on first base. It was a 0-0 game. And, a ball in the hole at short. He kind of throws it away at second because I was there a little faster than he thought. And then I was like, all right, I got to turn it on. I think I can get to third here. And when I turned it on, the sliding pit for second base, normally it's hard ground. At Doubleday, it's been played on for 100 and some years. So it's like sand. It's like sand. So it's super soft, super silty. And I just hit it wrong. And felt like somebody took an axe. You know the feeling. I mean, took an axe.
Oh yeah.
And I went down, 3 or 4 feet away from second base, and I didn't even make it back to second base. I mean, it was, and I knew what it was. I knew it. I knew it instantly, and I knew the ramifications too. Right?
Like this is
a 12-month injury. I knew. I just from my sports background, this is like the worst sports injury you can get. And so I wasn't upset, but I was super crestfallen. And then you talk about August was the worst month I've had in my life. And I was bitter to my kid. I was bitter to my wife. I was not a good person to be around for 31 days. And I had surgery on August 31st. So
I'm just starting to lose some of the weight that I gained because I was ordering Tiff's treats to myself every day. I was, drinking and it was just, you just tack on the weight. So, but you're coming out of the other side of it.
Yeah. I'm 7-Up, but I'm working on the way down. So, we're lifting. I'm back at LA Fitness. I got the to go lift a couple of weeks ago. So I feel good getting back to that, but you're right. It could have got a lot worse, but I was, I managed it a lot better,
Well, let's fast forward a little bit. Right now it's Q4 of 2023. And, one of the things I really have been focused on the last 11, 12 years is your fourth quarter hustle is your first quarter muscle.
That's right.
So with you're the real estate guru, the real estate agent guru, total expert in that space. What are you advising? What are you coaching? What's that season look like right now for like the best realtors?
Number one is start your 2024 plan now. I mean, don't wait till January 1st for anything. So if you want to lose weight, and this is how I lost weight, is I started in November, before all the gyms got super crazy and before everything else. So it's I think you treat December, and whatever's left of it, you can get wrapped up into the holiday game. You can get wrapped up into, doing a lot of nothing. And I truly believe it's the time that it's the best time of the year to meet one-to-one with your most influential, powerful, and connected people that not necessarily past clients, but if they are, and not necessarily referral sources. It doesn't have to be an ambassador or a champion. It can just be like the best people and having one-to-ones with them in December, I've discovered can take them from a friend to a champion or an ambassador, because people are so reflective and they're so open to the questions like, are you going on vacation next year? Where are you going? What are your goals for next year? What do you hope to achieve? How'd this year go? And you can do this preview conversation. And I'm talking about with friends. I'm not talking about you're coaching someone. You're just genuinely interested in how their year went and what's going to make next year better. Well, when you have that information, you now have ammunition in the relationship game. You're going to be able to win that by doing things for them to help them achieve their goals, have a better year, help them enjoy that trip of a lifetime that they're going on, or just a vacation that they're going on to. So the conversations are just better in December and January than any other time of the year, in my opinion. So, so this is the time to ramp up your conversations when everybody else is ramping down your conversations,
What's great about that is you've got the topic. I mean, it's not like you're calling and say, "Hey, can I get a referral?" You're calling and having a conversation around bonding, and having a conversation around being a human. This being a human being of just emotionally connecting, which is such a warm, loving time to be able to do that right now. I mean, I think it's brilliant to focus on, hey, December and January are the two best months of the year for the sake of relationship.
They really are. I mean, individual, one-to-one. They're not the best time for events. They really aren't, because you're competing against holiday events. In January, you're competing with winter, or you're competing with like back to school. You're competing with a slowdown. There's a slowness to January that just isn't conducive to getting people to go to events. Well, so all right, you're done. As you know, with me, events are number one. Events are the number one lead generation, in my opinion. And I will go to the ends of the earth thinking that, right? Even in 2020, we were having virtual events and getting lots of referrals, virtual events leading to referrals. So that told me even more how important. And then everybody's now, I think during the 2020 period, they were really in a period of, caged. They felt caged in 2020, like they couldn't go out, and they felt like they were enraged. It seemed like we were more divisive than ever in 2020, and people were caged and enraged. Well, what's happened in 23 and is going to happen even more in 24 is their mindset now is, I'm uncaged and I'm now ready to engage. So they're uncaged and engaged, or wanting to be engaged, and that's conducive to events. Well, so that's your February through November plan, if you will. We just helped, over 400 agents and teams and companies do Pi Days. Costco, should send me a humongous gift certificate for all the Costco pies we help, sell. But December and January are really great times to build that one-to-one relationship with your most energetic, the best people that just reconnect with them in December and January. And I used to say this all the time about, if I wanted to get a referral, how would I get it? The fastest way to get a referral, other than an event, but the fastest way, is to meet with the most influential, successful person and help them achieve a goal, conquer a challenge, or get a dream, right? Realize their dream. Help the most powerful person and they will reciprocate in a way you've never dreamed possible. And that's December and January.
You hit the nail on the head, and it reminded me, I think it was like 2014, and I had you come speak in Dallas and Plano, and you've so gracious to forgive me, so I appreciate that. But here's a pro tip for everyone: when you have a big time speaker come speak, you need to have like audio equipment, actually a mic for them, some sort of like technology. Just a pro tip.
Screen.
Create something, right?
Here's what I want to tell you. Like StreamYard, right? StreamYard. We're on StreamYard right now recording, which is great. And
Thanks,
here's imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction, right? And so right now there's like a green halo around me, and probably sometimes this mic disappears or appears, and it's one of those where it's like it's how big a deal is that really? It's just like, I mean, what it is usually I do have a green screen. I press green screen, I disappear. So it's like, I'm going to take green screen off, and it's like, all right, I'm here, but I got a green halo. So that's at least better. But like your event, it's like you did it, right? And look what it did. Look at the relationships that were, started then. And it's like, yeah, it was messed up. Did they know it was messed up?
No.
Nobody knew it was messed up.
But my biggest takeaway that's really impacted my life, and it's taught me how to speak, I learned from that event. And when you talked about who's the most influential person that you meet, you taught me that day the power of the 3.5 most powerful questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget that. I'm telling you, like I swear on my wife and kids, like that's taught me how to be able to speak and how to be able to influence and make impact with really big time producers. And it was, what is your biggest challenge in your business today? What have you tried to solve the biggest challenge in your business today? What are you going to try next? And by when? But you say it in a conversational way that you really are really going a mile deep and an inch wide of emotionally connecting
Mm-hmm.
for them to feel that you understand what their biggest challenge is, and you walk away from that coffee or that lunch with so much ammunition to be able to be their savior or be their hero or be the gatekeeper to whatever their solution is, their biggest challenge. How'd you learn that, and how can others learn that?
I learned it by having a lot of one-to-ones. To be perfectly frank, is I was an idiot. So, I mean, when I got into the business, I had no entrepreneurial mentor. I came from a long history of a family of farmers, teachers, and W-2 employees. So I didn't have that to fall back on. So when I got started, I had one thing working for me, and it was curiosity. So when I met the people in the community, I went to interview them. And when I was interviewing them, and I would make questions before I went to the thing, like, man, I really want to know this about them. And some questions kept coming up. Like, one is, what do you think the one ingredient to success is? What if you're going to have one thing working for you? What is, and persistence comes up, resilience, things like that. But what's interesting about that is, because I put their name on it and the date, and I took notes, is when a time in my life it really took persistence or resilience, I would then go back and contact that influencer or connector and just say, you gave me this advice like 5 years ago, that the one characteristic to success was resilience. And I just want you to know, I just had one of the hardest transactions of my entire life, and we got it through. And one of the things I thought about was just resilience. I got to be resilient. I got to keep going. And you gave me that advice 5 years ago. Right. Well, so, I mean, if I told you the number of positive outcomes that came from me having questions and them answering it, we would be here. It gave me a lot of confidence going into the meeting, because I didn't have to talk about myself. Right. It was a defensive mechanism in the first place, because if they would have said, well, how you doing in real estate? And I'm like, yeah, I did like one transaction. I've been in business for 2 days, I mean, in first year I did 37 transactions, but it never went to me saying, they all assumed that I was a top producer from the moment I had, from the very first meeting, because I didn't tell them any different. I didn't say, well, I'm new, I was in growth mode, and there's nothing more attractive to successful people than people in growth mode. That's the thing. You want to be attractive. Like, growth is the most attractive thing. And that's the truth. Get into growth mode and always be growing, and you'll be amazed at who will help you if you're growing.
Well, and also, I mean, the results are there. So I learned that where we talked about that event that you flew down in Dallas and we did together. It was 2014. I was doing $45 million in loans in 2014. Fast forward to 2015, just 12 months later, it went from 45 million in loans to 81 million in loans. And the biggest, number one, most impactor is I learned how to have a conversation with a top producing realtor. I learned how to add value to a top to producing realtor, and I stopped working. Nothing wrong with solo agents, but I started working with mega agents.
Yeah.
These are agents that do 50 million a year, 100 million a year, 200 million a year. I was able to have a conversation with them where I was able to add value to them. Which, if you learn to add value, they see you more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the key determiner of like those 3.5 most powerful questions. When you make it conversational, they see you as being valuable because you're the gatekeeper of them having that aha or that solution of how to solve their biggest challenge they have in their business today.
Yeah. I love that. And I think if you had to boil down what is my power as a coach, I can get people into conversation faster and get them confident in giving value from those conversations. You hit it on the head with what you just said there. And what's interesting is growth mode and growing, is, talk about 2014, 2015. Well, it was the 3.5 most powerful referral generating questions of all time at that time. Now it's the Focus Quest formula and Focus Quest, and it's 7 questions now, right? And so we've expanded on it, and you can have, we have Focus Quest forms where you just show up at the appointment, you talk about other stuff, but you've got this Focus Quest formula in the middle of all, which is, what is your biggest challenge right now? And then what have you tried so far? And then you want to be exhaustive with that. And you want to just talk about, what have you tried so far? What else have you tried? What else have you tried? And then it goes into the next step is, all right, so, what are you going to do next? And then the 4th question, which is newer to the, to the platform now, is what is the first next step? What is your first next step to doing what you're going to do next? And then the next one is who can help you with that? So who can help you with that first next step? And then the next one is the buy when. And then the last question is something I was asking naturally at different points of the conversation, but I noticed that I had to give it in the Focus Quest to get people to seize the opportunity that happens when you're having this conversation. And the 7th question is, how can I help you? Or what can I do for you? So, it goes through, what's your biggest challenge right now? And then it's like, what have you tried so far? And the reason you want to ask that is because you don't ever want to suggest something they've already tried, because they go, well, I already tried that, and then it's like, what are you going to do next is the most powerful phrase in the world, because you're saying you're an intelligent human being who can solve their own problems. What are you going to do next? And here's the thing, whose idea is it? It's their idea, not your idea. So if it doesn't go well, that's okay. And if it does go well, it's more likely to go well because it's their idea and not your idea. So, and then it's like, all right, so what's your first next step? Now we're getting into how we can just help someone along the journey. And then it's who can help you. And they think about it. And here's where they're like, well, I have no idea who can help me with Facebook ads or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. If we have someone, now we're already referring them someone. We can help them with that, and we're helping. And then it's like, all right, by when do you want to have this done? Or by when do you want me to have this guy call you or this lady call you? And then it goes into the, how can I help you? What else can I do for you? And they're like, oh my gosh, you've done a ton. And then what they say 90% of the time is they go, how can I help you? The answer is referrals. Yeah. The answer is referrals. When they say, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Your answer is referrals. And they're going to go, and we have to realize that referrals is not a question to be asked. It's an answer. Referrals is the answer, literally, figuratively, and that is a complete sentence. Referrals is the answer. When somebody says, how can I help you? What can I do for you? It's referrals. And then they're going to go, what are you looking for? Or who are you looking for? You need to be ready to answer that question. And all of a sudden you're in a referral conversation. And that 7-step Focus Quest.
It's awesome.
Could be the only thing that people really need to implement.
Literally. I mean, you implement that, you're doubling your world, your impact, your finances. And I think I had a coaching client that I was coaching him, and he said, Wally, you've got in-house marketing. You've got somebody in the team that does the social media, the in-house IT, and it's so easy for you to add value to your realtors. And I said, do you think I was born this way? I have it all in-house now because I've worked my way up there. But when I learned this back in 2013, 14, 15, the biggest difference was there was a venture called Google. And I would go on there and someone would say, hey, what's my biggest challenge? Well, it's Facebook ads. Like, I didn't know Facebook ads, right?
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
walked away from that meeting knowing that their biggest challenge is Facebook ads. And what did I do? Go in there in Google and type out, hey, I want one-on-one lessons on Facebook ads, or how to improve your Facebook ads for your realtor. And I'd pull out YouTube videos, like the top 3 or 4 or 5, and I'd just be taking notes, taking notes of like implementational tactics. And I'd call the realtor back up and I'd say, hey, great news. I went and studied how to really optimize Facebook ads. I've got some tips, but I've also got some content. Can I send you over these videos for you to be able to watch? They're maybe 3-4 minutes each. Then maybe let's get together for coffee and I'll walk you through the implementational steps that I learned from these videos from there. It was resourceful, and I was broke, so I didn't have all that stuff at house. And you can accomplish the same amount of success because that realtor realized that, hey, here's a loan officer that's not groveling for my business, but they're looking for ways to add value to me, and I was able to earn their real estate business.
Well, first of all, it's the implementation. You nailed it, right? You nailed. And but here's the other thing that's so impactful about this that you understand at a much higher level
Alex.
is that how does the normal meeting go? The normal meeting is lunch, eat, chew, 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 and then it the lender says I want to have all your business, and then it ends, and then they don't talk again, right?
Never,
I mean,
never
so
talk to me.
that's the typical lunch, right? Because I paid you lunch, I should get all your loans, right? And of course the realtor's like, thanks for the lunch, and we're never going to talk again, or we're going to run into each other at the events, and it's all good, or it's more awkward now because we've had this
Yeah.
conversation. Contrast that with Wally having that conversation where you're asking about their biggest challenge, and then I mean, the secret to it is you gave yourself a homework assignment
Mhm.
that becomes follow up that continues the conversation. If there's anything that I can relay to the world, and I mean this, is when any interaction happens, conversation, phone call, any communication, there's an unasked question that's going on in the minds of both of them, and it is, what's next? Like,
Mhm.
what's next with this relationship? And we always want a what's next. There's always something to invite them to. There's always some homework assignment that we give. Every handwritten note becomes a power note by putting PS, give me a call when you get this, had an idea, text me when you get this. But continuing the conversation. And that is the core of 7L and the referral mastery system is that you want to always have this open line of communication with uh with with people in general, but honestly with your top people, with the people
Yeah.
that are most likely going to refer you, and the ones that have the high energy, the people you want more in your life. um so that concept of what's next is really key to all that. You had a what's next.
Mhm.
It was self-assigned, but you had a what's next. And they probably thought, well, that was a great conversation. That
Yeah.
Wally's a great conversationalist. I got some great ideas on what I need to do next. And then they may have forgotten about it because maybe there's no accountability, or maybe they really didn't share their biggest challenge with you, or whatever it may be. But then you follow up, 3 days later, and share with the Googling that you did, and that kind of thing. They're in. Like,
Yeah.
that's more than anybody has ever done for them in their entire life. And it's not business. What we have to realize is that what I believe is this: when you have a referral based business, you can do it in a lot of ways. But one of the most powerful things is that this is really about being the best friend in the world. Like, what would the best friend in the world ask you and do for you? I want people. This is not script based. This isn't feel, felt, found. This isn't the alternative close. This is, though I use those, but it's this is like, what is the best friend in the world going to say? If I would love for someone to ask me what my biggest challenge is, I would love for somebody to ask me how I can make something or how they can make something the biggest win for me. I would love for somebody to ask me about my goals. I would love for somebody to ask me about a trip that I'm going to take and then send me a guidebook on where I'm going on that trip. And I don't care if they paid $3.99 for it or $399 for it. I would love, this is just about being the best friend in the world for that person. Now, it doesn't mean that, you need to become drinking buddies and hang out all the time. It's just like, we're going to cut to the chase. We're going to become the best friend they've ever known in their life.
Yeah.
Period.
That's where like you look at like the deepest relationships. Like I ran into one of my referral partners last night at an event, and I didn't even know he was coming, but he's been one of my top 10 closest best friends, and for like the last 6-7 years. And I left that event. I texted him afterwards. I said, man, what's super cool about our relationship and our friendship and our fellowship is every time I see you, I feel like I'm walking away a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better Christian, whatever it is. And for us as loan officers to be able to have our best friends being realtors, from an outside view looking in, it's wow, you're lucky, Wally, that your best friend's one of the top realtors in town.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with what they do their profession. It's about the synergy of who we've become together and how we've added value to each other's marriages. How do we add value to each other's businesses, fatherhood? And it's the ability, what the number one key factor is, we're great listeners because we ask great questions. And the 3.5 most powerful questions, as simple as it may sound, and if you're listening, it's like, oh, it's not that advanced. It doesn't need to be advanced. It's all about connection. And that's what you've done really well.
Well, I appreciate that. I see it as a combination lock, right? I mean, what is a combination lock? It's 28, 32, 12. How difficult is that? I mean, those are 3 numbers. Doesn't get any simpler than that. But if you get them wrong, it doesn't unlock. But if you do these 3 or these 7 questions, it becomes this combination, their lock, their barrier, right? I mean, especially if you're in the same business and it's lender agent. How many lenders are pandering to agents, or how many agents feel more entitled or arrogant around lenders, or whatever it may be. And it's one of those where it's like you ask these questions and the barriers come down, right?
Yeah.
It unlocks it unlocks that door to an open communication and open relationship,
So I'm going to ask you a question that's embarrassing on my end.
Oh, geez. Well, you don't have to do that.
No, I'm always fun putting myself in that spot. So the gentleman I spoke to before you, the podcast we did earlier today, maybe about an hour ago, I think he's on your wall there. So it was Hal Elrod.
Oh, yeah.
And the embarrassing thing was, like, I didn't know you guys wrote a book together.
Yeah.
What'd y'all write?
Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents, of course, right? So
awesome.
Yeah, the Miracle Man, right? So
yeah,
that was awesome. That was an honorary quarter, and I've got to give a shout out to Michael Reese and Jay Kinder for being involved as well. Honorary was the best book writing coach I could have ever asked for. She was on me. I literally wrote it as a sequel to 7L. So Rick and Michelle are in it, and it's fast forward a few years. Rick becomes a mentor in this case, whereas Michelle was the mentor in 7L. And it was a lot of fun to write. I'm a believer in rituals. I believe rituals are more important than goals. A lot of people are setting goals this time of year, but it's like, really, maybe you look at your rituals, your morning ritual, your nightly ritual, your Sunday ritual, how are you preparing for the week? And then, what's your launch and landing ritual for work? If you work 9 to 6, what are you doing 9 to 10? And what are you doing 5:45 to 6 p.m.? And what if it was the same every day? The 1st and 10 was always my launch plan, which was first thing in the morning, 10 phone calls. And I'd get on the phone, call 10 people, and it would and they were all people I knew. So it was like, all right, I'm making the world move a little bit. And then 5:45 to 6 was my pre-leave ritual that probably saved my marriage. Taught me a lot about life and health and wealth and happiness. Um, and that was go home was the acronym for that ritual, which, at 5:45, get reminded. And for years, I had to have Tiffany or Ashley, an assistant, come to my door, open the office door, and say, "Go home." I mean, like strong. I said, "You got to say it strong, or I'm just going to sit there and plow through for another 3 hours and make Sherry mad and everything else." So, get reminded. Now, all I need is my phone at 5:45. It pops up and says, "Go home." It's an appointment with myself, and
Yeah.
so I have it. I have it for my studio. And the O is order your environment, right? Because I do have some books like we're teaching one-to-one mastery class right now. There's a book right there. I don't know if you can see it. But I need to put that back on the shelf. Everything. I need to put this jacket in the closet. I'm freaking Mr. Rogers now. I literally put on a jacket when I literally am like Mr. Rogers. And then the H is for my high five. What are the 5 things that I need to do first thing tomorrow? And then I've got O, which is organize my desk, which typically stays pretty organized. I've got a Joe Montana rookie card here that I've got to send and get a PSA rating on that to see what that's worth. So I'll do that before I get out of here. And then the M, this is something I had to be reminded of because I never worked for the money before. I always worked to help people, and is money making. How am I going to make money tomorrow? So that forced me to add to my high five and figure out, like, all right, what do I need to do here to make money, save money, something. And then the E is exit, right? And that is like exit, like go home, get out and leave. So, savers, I've always been a big fan of the morning ritual. What helped me with Hal is it refined and honed some things that I was already doing, and he was open to adding some things that I was doing, like appreciations. I do appreciations in the morning and at night. I'm psych. I truly believe I'm the person I am today because of appreciations. I believe that. And then I added sunlight to savers at the beginning. It's basically right now it's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and then scribing, which was an S word for journaling, essentially.
Yeah.
And I've added, over the years, I believe sunlight is really, really key. Hal and I differ a little bit there because he's getting up before the sun is out. And then the appreciations, adding the appreciations to savers. And it's been great. Big one for me too is meditation. That was, it was kind of part of the silent piece, but no, I'm telling you, I root for Hal every chance I get. And, I was definitely thinking about him a lot, when he was going through the cancer scare and, everything else. So when he moved to Austin and so anyway, so what a great guy. So I can't believe that you talked to him and like, what a letdown. Like, I mean, it's like, I could have seen you canceling and I would have been like, oh, why did he cancel? And you're like, well, I just talked to Hal. And I'm like, oh, well, how the hell am I supposed to
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask you on air, but I'm going to plant the seed, hopefully we can water it together.
Yeah.
Man, I love to kind of collaborate with you more, man. I think our synergies are huge. And, the 24/7 mindset was built for the sake of being a series, and it was built as progressional. And there's, the vision is also to do 24/7 mindset for realtors, 24/7 mindset for financial advisors, for CPAs, for family will attorneys, for insurance, which is the post-closing world that I have that's built the whole client concierge team that I have.
Yeah.
And so I love to get together and talk about, what would that look like? And just, I think you've got so much wisdom in the real estate space. Our, adding value to our clients post-closing, not just pre-closing, is something that we've always had that synergy on.
Yep.
And then also from there, you ever think about making 7L as like 7 levels of communication for loan officers?
No. I've been approached about like all kinds of like 7L for MLM.
Yeah.
That definitely, I probably get pitched that once a month. Um,
No way. Okay.
yeah, it's referral based and how do MLMs typically grow it's really not the product. It's
No.
really the relationship, you
Yeah.
know? So anyway, it's already 7L for lenders kind of
Yeah.
because Michelle Phillips, and of course her initials are MP because
Yep.
she's a mortgage professional, right? Michelle Phillips. She is honestly the star of 7L. Everybody thinks Rick is the star. No, Rick's being held by the hand, led through the process by Michelle. And then he signs up for coaching because of Michelle, basically. And a big reason for Rick's success is A, because he wants Michelle, and B, he wants to be like Michelle, and C, because Michelle is willing to take him on her journey with her. So I think 7L is a standalone.
Got it.
Um, I I have like 8 books outlined, and that's
Okay.
no kidding. Yeah. But and this is probably going to be um maybe even edited. This is interesting to say on a podcast, but a book is a very interesting decision for someone who is trying to be as productive as possible. Because I spent 2.5 years on 7L and I sold it for $30.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much wisdom in 7L. There's so much wisdom in Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents, so much wisdom in 24 Mindset. And it's like, it is amazing to me the amount of wisdom in these $20 and $30 products. And yet people won't read them. Yet there's people out there that don't read. So, I'll give an example we're 7L came out and it was big in the real estate world because we were big in the real estate world. I was big in the real estate world as far as my team and we were doing 250 transactions in a time when, 100 transactions was phenomenal, and all by referral. Well, 7L is about referrals and conversations. Well, we cover everything from, literally like farmers and gardeners to Fortune 500 companies like Chick-fil-A and, PepsiCo and so on and so forth. And do I write another book? Or what we've decided to do is in 2024, we're focusing on realtors. We're going to have an agent track of Referral Mastery Academy. And so I'm going to spend my time creating very ultra real estate focused courses, buyer agent mastery, listing agent mastery.
Ooh, I love that.
Right. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I could have seen you go, wait, you don't have that now? And it's like, I don't. That's how much of an idiot I am. Right. It's like, I don't, but we're going back to the real estate agents in 2024. Our focus is really, do we have other clients in solar lending?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, yes, we do. But our focus is the real estate agent world has been rocked in 2023.
Yeah.
And I am born to be the lighthouse, to stand up, shine my light, stand strong and tall, and guide people back to the light, so to speak. And, we have a really effective set of systems and processes. And so we're kind of going back to our roots, my roots. And I speak realtor. I am a realtor. Once you're in real estate and you've been a realtor, it's in your blood. It's just there's nothing like waking up unemployed every day.
Right, well, yeah. We'll definitely connect soon on that. But I think also it's just, I think there's a lot of synergy between you and I. We'll figure out a way to work together for sure. But
I'm in. Let me know. Like I said, some of the best conversations I've had is with you when we were coaching, and I just like what you're doing with 24/7 is so much value to not just lenders, but
Yeah.
financial planners, CPAs, and all the other people you're going to attract um, from getting this wisdom out there. And here's what I love: you're not someone that got into coaching who has done 10 transactions in your life, right? You're not the unemployed life coach, right? It's like what do you do? Well, I'm a life coach. And I'm like, oh, so you're unemployed. Right? And it's like, no, you're going, here's where I am. And the guy on the top of the mountain didn't fall there. What
No.
I want to do is I'm going to be a Sherpa for you, and I'm going to help you go to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
I love it when top of the mountain people get into coaching and get into training and go and help people because A, they learn how to help people like that, which is a different animal, and you've been there, so you
Yeah.
can help them not go off the cliff on Everest. You're going to say, no, we're going to go down this narrow ravine. We're going to go down to go up. Why? Well, it's safer. It's better. It's
Yeah.
faster. So
But
I love it.
I did a webinar a little bit earlier this morning, and I said,
Jeez, what a freaking day. So I just want everybody to write down what Wally has done today. Like, he talked to Hal Elrod, he's talked to me, why we still are debating, and he's done a Zoom webinar to hundreds of people, and he's still standing upright. He still has his voice. I would be out of a voice.
That's funny. Well, it made me almost lose my train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, what I said in this morning's webinar was like, hey, listen, I got a goofy name, Wally. I want you to watch me at the end, by the end of this webinar, for it to be successful in my book. If you're like, hey, if that Yahoo named Wally can do this, I can do this in a heartbeat. And I think that's the biggest goal of mine, is to get fired. And what I mean by that is, if you hire me as a coach, if you hire me, join the academy, you join the community, and you come to me a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you say, hey, Wally, I'm going to go a different direction. I feel fulfilled for the simple fact of I've taught you the tools that you need, that you know which tool to pick up, how to use the tool, when to use the tool, and you have the confidence to use the tool yourself, that you don't need me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between a life coach that's never really done it or hasn't done it in 20 years that wants you in their ecosystem until eternity, versus somebody that's got to that mountaintop. And I see that in you, Michael. So, and in closing, I want to give you the last words, and but what do you want to share?
Well, you have a funny name and I have a funny face. So what you've had to overcome is one thing. And what I think when I'm up there speaking, they're like, well, geez, if that guy can do it, anybody can do it, because I'm not very smart and I'm not very good looking. So it's one of those where and I'm not I'm not smarter than anybody else. I'm not. I am smarter about referrals. Well, why? I've been on a 25-year journey studying this, and you would think after 10,000 hours I'd be pretty smart, but I'm in like 250,000 hours, right? So, and do I know everything? No, but I definitely have a lot of answers for a lot of challenges, situations in the referral and relationship world. But I think the big thing is, this is such a great example of building relationships, as you're here having this conversation with me again. And I think that's just such a great, and by the way, a Zoom counts as a one-to-one. So if somebody, or a StreamYard, this kind of thing counts as a one-to-one. And I encourage people to have more one-to-ones, get more engaged. And, I think the biggest thing that I'm on right now is I have this feel of the consumer. I'm a little bit of an empath in that I definitely felt 2020, and we did a daily dose. We literally went to a podcast that we did every day, the daily dose of positivity and productivity. And I kind of put that world on my shoulders, the real estate world, for about 80 days, 90 days. And what I'm feeling now is maybe even more important than the time we went into 2020 is I'm so big on your sphere and the impact that an individual agent or lender can really make on your community. We underestimate the impact we can make and the influence we can have in our local community. Real estate is local. Lending, for the most part, is local.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where, be a local leader. And on that note, what if you knew every person in your sphere was lonely? What if you knew every person in your sphere was lonely? What would you do if every person in your sphere was lonely? What would you do? You got to be thinking about, like, what would you do? Would you invite them to coffee? Would you invite them to an event? Would you reach out to them? Would you write them a note? And it's like, what would you do? Because here's the fact of the matter is, surveys have shown that 81% of consumers feel lonelier than ever. Loneliness is what smoking used to be. Loneliness is killing people as fast as smoking did. So think about that for a second. There are people, and you're like, well, how can they be lonely? They have kids. Well, trust me on that one. You can be lonely with kids. I've got a teenager, makes me feel pretty damn lonely on a regular basis. But it's one of those where, like, oh my God, they have the greatest life on Facebook. How can they be lonely? And it's like, give me a freaking, call it fake book. Don't call it Facebook. I think that's where I'm really,
Oh my God,
in 2024, I'm really harping on is you need to have a sign or something written on your desk is my sphere is lonely. The people in my sphere, the people in my community are lonely. And the thing about conquering loneliness is you can add value simply by reaching out versus thinking of some item of value that you need to provide. You are the gift. You reaching out is the call is the gift. And that's the power right now that I see. People are lonely. They are uncaged and ready to engage, but nobody is engaging. The social spheres that we've lived in have all been blown apart in 2020. New spheres are being, those new patterns of spheres are being built right now. And we have the opportunity to take advantage of that and look at it as an opportunity. So, that's where I'm at, man.
I can't wait to collaborate with you, Michael. I'll definitely, I'll get in contact with Sherry, get back on your calendar whenever you're free. And I definitely, from the bottom of my heart, man, you meant a lot to me and you care to take time out of your day. So thank you so much for your time today and all your wisdom.
Well, it's been absolutely my pleasure. Let me know what I can do always. And kudos to you and everything that you're doing. You did all this the right way. And I really, really appreciate our relationship and you and know I'm here to help. Anything I can do.
All right. Love you, brother. We'll talk again soon.
Love you.
Wow. So honestly, have you heard me talk about so many things in so little time? In less than an hour, we covered so much ground and so many things at an incredible depth. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. And right now, I want to just invite you to join gengen.com if you haven't. If you like today's podcast, then you're probably a really good candidate for the Generosity Generation. You can join the Generosity Generation at joingengen.com. And while you're there, check out referralmasteryacademy.com, referralmasteryacademy.com. It is the best investment that you can ever make in yourself and in your business. And if you want referrals, you need to be in Referral Mastery Academy. Check it out at referralmasteryacademy.com. Love it. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for tuning in once again. And we will see you next time on Referrals Podcast.